Okay, now that we have Lightroom set up, what we need to do is we need to start importing photos. So the easiest way to do this is to click on either the import button over here on the bottom, or to go up next to your folders and hit the plus sign. We also want to make sure that we are in the library mode, that way it all works out. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and hit that plus sign, and you can see here that you have two options: add a folder, add a subfolder. Because we don't have any folders actually activated yet, we don't have the option to do the subfolder, but later on we can do that, and I'll show you how that works. For now, let's just go ahead and add a folder, and then we're going to go ahead and go into our photos folder. Now you can just select that folder and add all of these folders at once. The downside to doing that is keywording and a few other things. If you have a lot of photos and that's just the fastest way of getting them in, then by all means do that. But because I don't have a lot of photos for this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and select a folder at a time here and import it. So first, let's just start with Danny's folder there. And we're going to go ahead and select the folder. Now that's going to launch our import dialog box. And you can see on the left hand side, this is just pretty much a source tree that lets you know where the files are that you're importing. In the center space here, you have all the photos that are in that folder. And you can see that right now that they're all checked. I recommend that you go ahead and leave these all checked, even if you are importing something off the camera that might have some blinks or some frames where the lights didn't fire, that sort of thing. Go ahead and leave them checked and go ahead and import them into Lightroom. The reason being that if you try to delete them from this step by unchecking them, you're just basically making them so Lightroom can't see the file, but the file is still on your hard drive. If you go ahead and import it first and then remove it from the disk from within Lightroom, then it actually removes it from your disk and it won't take up any more of your hard drive space. Over here on the right hand side, we have file handling. This is where you can set it up to build a one-to-one preview. That's what I recommend. If you are using an older computer or one that's acting a little more sluggish, you can knock that down to a lower state, like standard perhaps. But if everything's running smoothly, I just go ahead and leave that at 1-to-1. And then down here we have the option to apply certain things to our imports. Right now I have my metadata. And so every time I import a photo, it's going to go ahead and tag some metadata to that image. And right here we have develop settings. Right now I have none, but as soon as we import Danny's photos here, I'll show you how to set up like an import preset, something that you can run on all your files. But let's go back down here to metadata. If we pull down the screen, we have the option to do none, or to select certain metadatas that we have presets set for. Let's go ahead and just select a new preset here so you can see what this is. So up here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name this SAA preset. And then on the fourth area down, you'll kind of see that these are highlighted in red. These are important to fill in. So your copyright information, I'm just going to go ahead and type my name. For copyright status, I'm going to go ahead and put copyrighted. Usage rights, I'm just going to put copyrighted there as well. And then under URL info, I'm going to go ahead and put my web address. Now for creator, once again, I'll type my name. I usually don't put my address or phone number out there, but I will put my email address on here. And then once again, I'll just copy and paste my website address. And then, it's optional. You can put a job title if you want. So we'll just put photographer down. Why it's important to kind of tag your photos with this, let's say you're exporting JPEGs that are going to be used on a website or a blog, and somebody goes and searches on Google and those photos come up. Well, unless you have your copyright and contact information filled out as part of your metadata, then they might not be able to reach you if they want to use your photo for any means. And it's nice to give people the option of, instead of stealing your photos, to actually contact you and perhaps pay for the rights to use them. You can scroll down. Anything that you don't fill out won't be imported into your metadata. And then down here at the bottom you have the option to do keywords. I don't do the keywords in my metadata. I always do the keywords as part of my import because they're going to change every time. So we're going to go ahead and hit create, and now you'll see under metadata that we have the SAA preset selected. So these are photos of Danny. So for keywords, I think it's really important that you always are very specific about your keywords and consistent. Kind of where these keywords are going to come into play later on is if you're trying to do a search. So let's say I wanted to search all the photos that I've done in the last 10 years that have sunsets. Well, as long as I have sunset as part of my keywords, then I can search for that word and it will pull up all the photos that I've done with sunsets. So it's important to always be very consistent with your keywording. So for example, for Danny, I might put Danny, these were shot in Ohio. I might put modeling session, fashion session, that sort of thing, in order to kind of let me know this was for a magazine shoot, so maybe I put magazine shoot here. Anything really specific that you might want to search later on. So once you got those filled in, then go ahead and click on the import button down here at the bottom. And you'll see that now that those photos are imported, and over here under folders we have the Danny folder, and up here you can see that while we work in the background, it is going to go ahead and build those one-to-one previews. Alright, so I mentioned setting up a preset. What we want to do for this is we want to kind of go over our settings, perhaps in our develop module over here, and select all the things that we know we're always going to do to our photos. So if we select a photo, for example, and we move over to the develop module, just like that, you can see that there are certain things that we're always going to do to our file. One of the things I always do is I slide up my clarity and I slide up my saturation just a bit. So I'll go ahead and do that. Maybe set clarity at 12, saturation at 7, that's pretty good. Scrolling down, one of the things I always do is I always click on my noise reduction. I'll take that up to about 14, just because of my camera. I know that that works really good. I always enable my lens profile, so I'll go ahead and set that to where it's checked, and make sure it's set on the profile here. It'll default to basic, but if you go to profile, and then it'll show you exactly the camera and the lens combination that you used. And that's about it. Those are the things that I always do to every one of my files to start with. So if you set that up just like that, you can come over here to presets and hit plus, and then we can title this import preset. And then down here, make sure that it has everything checked that you did. You know, we didn't do grain up, all this. So it looks like everything's set. You know, we got our clarity, our tone curves, our camera settings, lens profiles, all that stuff. So let's go ahead and hit create. And then down here under user presets, you'll see down here now that we have an import preset. Okay? So let's go ahead and go back over to the library module, and let's go ahead and import another folder. Now if we have Danny's folder selected like that, and we hit the plus sign up here, you'll notice that it's now given us an option to do a subfolder. We don't really want to do a subfolder because that'll place the next imported photos into Danny's folder. So we just want to have our server selected up there, and we're going to go ahead and just add the folder, and it's going to add the folder in the same location that it's found on your hard drive. So we'll go ahead and pick Clara, and we'll select our folder here. And once again, it's going to launch our import dialog box, and you can see we have a whole set of photos up here. We have our one-to-one preview set over here, but now this time under develop settings, I'm going to go ahead and come down here to user presets, and I'm going to select import presets. And now every time that I import, or all these pictures that are imported are going to have those presets that we set up done to them already. So we'll go ahead and add a keyword there. Obviously I would add a lot more, but for now that's good enough. We'll hit import, and you'll see now that we have two folders set up over here, and it's importing these in place. So just for example, if we were to go over to develop, you will see that our presets 12 and 7, and we've got our noise reduction and our lens profile all set up. So every time we import with that preset selected, it's going to do those settings for us. Alright, so here's another situation you might find yourself in. You might find yourself in a situation where you have a lot of photos just kind of random in a folder. So let's go ahead and minimize this and take a look down here. So here I have my photos folder, and you can see that I've got some bridge photos here, and then I've got some portraits down here. Obviously these weren't shot together and they aren't really meant to go in the same folder, but let's say you have like a lot of these. Now it would be easy for me to just create two folders right now and separate them, but let's say you have a lot, and sometimes the easiest thing to do is to import them as like one big photo dump, and then to organize them inside of Lightroom itself. So let's do that. In order to make it easy for ourselves, we're going to go ahead and just create a new folder, and for now we'll just call this just a miscellaneous folder, and we will select all of these and drag it in there. So now we're all set to go. We'll launch Lightroom again, and this time I'm going to show you what it's like to import from the bottom button down here. So we'll go ahead and hit the import key, and now it's asking us to select our source. We're going to go ahead and select that miscellaneous folder that we created, and same thing over here. We're going to do our one-to-one, and we're going to do our import presets, our SAA presets for our metadata, and when we come to keywords, I'm going to actually go ahead and leave the keywords blank in this situation because I have so many things going on that it'll probably be easier for me to kind of set up the key sets once I get them organized in Lightroom. So let's go ahead and import this. And if we select on that folder, you'll see that now we have all sorts of different files. So the majority of the photos in this folder are photos of Sam here. So what I want to do is I want to rename that. Now the last thing I want to do is go out to my folder here and rename it out here, because now that we've imported them into Lightroom, Lightroom needs to know where these files are at all times. So if we change the name of the folder on our hard drive, then Lightroom won't know where those photos are anymore, and you'll have to actually go and reassociate the new folder with this one. Let me show you how that's done. So if we accidentally come out here and we call this folder Sam, and then we go back into Lightroom, you'll notice now we have this question mark showing up. That's because Lightroom no longer knows where these photos are located, and you'll see here that there is exclamation points showing you that these photos are lost. So easy enough to do, to fix. What we want to do is right click on that, select find missing folder, and it's going to take us out here, and you just have to tell it that, okay, we accidentally named it Sam on the hard drive and not in Lightroom. So if we tell it that folder is now named Sam, we can hit select folder and you'll see the question mark's gone and all the photos can be found. The proper way of changing the name of this folder would have been to right click on the title and then click rename there. And then we could type Samantha. And then hit save. And then if we look at our hard drive, you'll see that Lightroom also changed the name of the folder out there. So it's always better to work from within Lightroom if you need to change or adjust things. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and move these bridge photos. Once again, we don't want to do it with a hard drive, we want to do it from within Lightroom. So we're going to go ahead and select, tell it to add a folder, and we are going to take it to our hard drive that has all our photos on it, and we're going to go ahead and create a new folder, and we will call this bridge. We'll select that folder like so. Now it's created a folder here now called bridge, but you'll notice that there are 0 photos in it because we didn't have any photos in it at the time of import. But what we're going to do now is we're going to select all these bridge photos that we want to move, and we're just going to go ahead and drag and drop them right into that folder. And now you'll see that they're no longer associated with Samantha's photos. They're up here in bridge. And if we look at our hard drive again, here's bridge, and if we open it up, here are those photos. So anytime you want to move files around, just make sure that you're doing it from within Lightroom itself. It's simply a matter of right-clicking on that folder, and you have all sorts of options. Let's say you accidentally go out and delete a photo, or remove a photo from the folder, or you add more photos to the folder, and you want to let the Lightroom know that you did that. So let's do this. Let's copy that photo and let's go back to Samantha, and we'll paste it in there. Now Samantha's folder has one photo in it that is not showing up. There's no bridge photo in here. That's because we haven't told Lightroom that we did that. So here's one little trick you can do. You just right click on Samantha folder and you can hit synchronize, and it'll go out and look in that folder and find new photos, and it's found that one photo with the bridge. So we can go ahead and tell it to synchronize. It'll launch our import dialog box just in case you want to set some keywords, and you hit import, click on Samantha, and now you can see that that photo that we added after the fact is now connected to our library. And that's pretty much it. That's the basic steps for importing photos into the library. Thanks for watching.